川あさき
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to this video. Today we have something very special for you. We will introduce how Action Taimanin original character Emily Simmons was created. I interviewed someone from the company to find out all about Emily. Stay until the end to see exclusive photos and footage. Let's go! Welcome. Please introduce your role in the company.
Hello, I'm Chi, a project manager. I manage projects for games from the inception through the planning and development to the stage of completion.
Today's interview is about the development of Emily's character. She's an original character. Could you tell about the very beginning of the character development process? What is the exact first step?
As the main story progresses, we thought of a character coming from another force like Su or from the UFS, which uses remarkable high technology and is able to assist Taimanin characters through their whole journey. To formulate the character, key traits had to be decided beforehand. These traits include an eccentric genius complex, extensive knowledge of a scientific technology, and being friendly and kind, and being a healer, displaying a strong passion and interest in researching Taimanin's transcendent supernatural power. This being the reason why Emily joined the Taimanin task force.
That was eye-opening. Personally, I find the beginning of any story or process the most interesting part. Let's move on to the next question. How are the details about the character's appearance and personality decided?
Green-eyed with glasses, beauty mark, long blonde braided hair, etc. are only the subtle details of the character to make it interesting or resonate with the audience. Also, this helps the character stand out. Most of her notable appearance reflects her distinct personality. She is a bookworm, but at the same time willing to go out of her comfort zone. Fun fact, her last name had to change due to overlap with another anime character, Emily Stewart.
How many people work on Emily's concept art? What happens in the process from concept art until the final version of the character?
To break down the process, in the general case, when we design a new character, initially multiple 2D artists join to create the concept art. In Emily's case, there were 4 people at the beginning. No rules or guidance for the freedom of artists. Only a few keywords or short descriptions about the character are given to artists. All leaders and directors have time to review each artwork, then select the most suitable one to move on to the next step. This initial artwork isn't detailed enough to tell what exactly the character is, so until all directors agree on each final outcome of every step, key components are added to finalize the image of a character.
The process is very interesting, especially during the concept art stage. Many artists pitch their ideas and versions of the same character. We can see how different people have a different way of thinking when creating characters. Next, let's look at the process of designing the characters' outfits. How are the characters' outfits decided? Is their personality, for example, taken into consideration during this process?
We release the clothing of the selected characters every month. Every month has its own theme, mostly based on the Japanese yearly calendar. For Emily, most of the time, the 2D artist who created Emily is in charge of the design of her clothing. As the artist said, Emily has a very diverse personality, so that her personality isn't much in the consideration when it comes to clothing design. However, her background, such as a medical scientist or researchers about the UFS, affects most of the costume design.
Those unreleased Emily outfits were so nice, so pretty. Okay, but let's move on to questions about characters' target audience and characters' weapons. When developing a character, is there a certain target audience in mind when deciding the details about their appearance?
Our target audience is young adults and adults, age 18 to 40, both male and female, but mainly male. We derived information from their demographic attributes and took them into consideration in order to increase the efficiency of each outcome.
Emily rides an exoskeleton and uses a drone as her weapon. Is the character's choice of weapon also decided in the beginning? How was it decided?
The unit of her weapon, exoskeleton, and drone was established based on her backstory with her remarkable abilities in many different fields. To emphasize her extraordinary intelligence and technology, that's the way of the exoskeleton looks like. Later on, we also added a drone on her weapon to enhance and diversify the strengths of her skills.
Taimanins have a variety of weapons. It will be interesting to see how many more the character development teams will come up with. Next, let's look at the process of deciding what skills the characters will have. How about skills? How are they decided?
Emily is a medical scientist from the UFS using her high-tech work. Exoskeleton as her equipment, mainly as a weapon. The weapons allowed her to emulate other characters' unique skills by hologram. With that concept of the character, designers came up with the idea that Emily can maximize her strengths as powerful as the other Taimanins. For example, one of her skills called X-Impact is the copy or imitation of Murasaki's weapon.
Now we know the secret behind Emily's axe impact. Next, let's hear about how Emily was introduced in the Action Taimanin story. What was the initial process of introducing Emily in the story?
Emily made an appearance on Chapter 7 for the first time. The main event of the chapter for the Taimanin task force was searching for the research team which was gone missing while tracking down Momochi's dead body. And there was a certain need for external intervention out of the Taimanin task force. Basically, the storyline was made for Emily, and like I said earlier, the Taimanin task force needed a character out of their task force, and the character had to join the task force for some reason. Emily happened to join the Asaki force to avoid any hazard from her own force.
When developing Emily, how was her dynamic with the other characters created? Are interactions thought beforehand?
We didn't think of a character dynamics much at the beginning of developing Emily. Core components of her personality, such as being nice toward everyone and extremely passionate about any kind of a new high-tech, makes the dynamic naturally happen with the other protagonists. Now, in a funny way, Emily gets along well with Murasaki when it comes to matters about Asaki. Once having firmly set each character's background, characters interact with each other like real people in the story without a third party involved.
That was fun to learn about. For the final question, let's find out where the ideas for the character scenarios come from. How do the ideas for the character scenarios come about?
We have a few scenario writers. According to what they say, the inspiration can be found everyday life. Especially while being exposed to many other visual media.
Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you for having me here. It was really nice to meet you guys.
It was an opportunity for all of us to learn more about Emily and the process of developing characters in general. Thank you to our viewers for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.